Hi, I'm Ashley, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about new books coming out in August. So today I have 7 YA fantasy books to share with you, and then 3 other books that are adult books that are a mix of fantasy and romance. So first, let's talk about the YA fantasy books that are coming out in August. So the first YA fantasy book on this list comes out on August 6th, and is The Girl with No Reflection by Keshe Chow. So in this one, our main character is chosen to be the bride of the Crown Prince. However, when she meets the Crown Prince, she finds that he is cruel and indifferent, and he ends up locking her up in her room with no explanation. And so she's just stuck in her room, and the only company she has is her reflection from the mirror that's in her room. But then she starts to see weird things in the mirror, and then on the eve of her wedding, she's actually sucked into this mirror world. And there she meets the Maehrer Prince, who is the exact opposite of the Crown Prince. He is kind and caring. But of course, just like the real world, the mirror world also has darkness in it. And it turns out that the mirror world and the real world have some bad blood between them. And also, there have been some brides before our main character that have gone missing, so there's also the mystery of that too. And so this book is said to be perfect for fans of Song Like Silver, Flame Like Night, and Violet Made of Thorns. So book number 2 comes out on August 6th and is This Ravenous Fate by Hayley Dennings, and this is book 1 in a duology that takes place in 1920s New York. And in this world, there are vampires, but the vampires are called Reapers, and our story follows 2 girls, Elise and Lila. And the 2 of them used to be best friends, but that was before something happened that ended up with Lila being turned into a Reaper. And that is a problem because Elise's family is the head of a Reaper hunting enterprise. So needless to say, the 2 of them are now enemies at the start of our story. But when mysterious and brutal deaths end up happening in the city and vampires end up becoming human again somehow, the 2 must team up in order to figure out exactly what is going on. So book number 3 on this list came out in England in May, but is coming out in America on August 27th, and that is The Temptation of Magic by Megan Scott. And this one is a contemporary fantasy and supernatural romance with dark academia vibes. In this one, our main character is Nicole, and she is from a family of supernaturals, and in their world, this shadowy organization called The Wake governs all supernatural creatures, and she is a rare supernatural, so she has to hide her abilities from them, because if they learn about her, then she'll either be forced to work for them or they'll kill her like they did her mother. And she has been trying to decode a message that her mother left behind that might tell her how she can take down this organization. But unfortunately, before she can do that, some things happen, and she ends up as a result having to work with a member of the organization. And of course, this member of the organization is going to be our love interest, and it's definitely going to be a forbidden romance, and it's going to be very dangerous because if he finds out her true identity, then he is going to have to hunt her down and kill her. So book number 4 on this list also comes out on August 27th and is The Dreamers by Ryan Elizabeth Penske. So in this one, our main character is Stella, and she learns that her dreams predict the future. And around the time that she finds this out, she ends up being kidnapped and took into this gothic castle. And in this castle, she meets other people like her who are also kidnapped, and they are forced to endlessly dream, and the people at the castle extract their dreams from them because they tell the future. And Stella ends up befriending 2 of the other dreamers, and also in her dreams, she ends up coming across Charlie, a boy who seems familiar to her and who has been in her dreams before. And so right there is some possible hints of a romance. So Stella, along with Charlie and the 2 other dreamers, must figure out a way to escape these dream experiments. So the next 3 YA fantasy books on this list are sequels, so I'm just going to give a quick shout out to them. So the first sequel on this list comes out on August 6th and is the second book in the Guardians of Dawn series. And book number 2 is called Ami, and I have not read book 1 yet, but this is a series I'm interested in because it is compared to Sailor Moon, and Sailor Moon was one of my favorite shows growing up. And just the title of this second book alone is giving me Sailor Moon vibes because Ami was also a Sailor Scout in Sailor Moon. So I definitely want to get to reading this series at some point. So the next YA fantasy sequel on this list comes out on August 22nd, and it is Wisteria by Adalyn Grace, and this is the third and final book in the Belladonna trilogy. And this series is a gothic fantasy that is about a girl who can see death and ends up forming a relationship with him. And I really loved the first book, and the second book, I didn't love it as much as the first, but I very much still enjoyed it. And so I am excited to read the third and final book in the series. And then the third and final sequel on this list comes out on August 27th and is Fyrebirds by J. Armstrong. And this is the second book in the Nightbirds series. And I read this book back in June. I enjoyed it very much, and I'm really excited to read the next one. And so this book takes place in a made-up world that feels a lot like 1920s New York, because there is prohibition, but it is prohibition of magic instead of alcohol. And so our story follows three girls who are Nightbirds, and as Nightbirds, they all have magic, and they have the ability to grant their magic to another for a short period of time through a kiss. And I definitely recommend checking out this series if you are a fan of Carnival by Stephanie Garber, or The Diviners by Libra Bray, or if you like books with elemental magic and romance. So now let's talk about the last three books on this list. And these three are adult books that are a mix of fantasy and romance. And the first of these comes out on August 6th and is Apprentice to the Villain by Nicole Maehrer. And this is the sequel to Assistant to the Villain. And I read this one back in January, and I just had so much fun with this, and I loved it. So I can't wait to read the sequel. And this book is just a lot of fun, and it is about a girl who ends up becoming assistant to the villain. But it reads very much like a satire, and it's just very much a feel-good, campy time for most of the book. And after the way this first book ended, I really need to pick up the second one. So the next book comes out on August 13th and is Haunted Ever After by DeLuca. And this one is a contemporary romance with a paranormal twist. Our main character in this one, Cassie, ends up moving to a small town in Florida called Boneyard Key. And Boneyard Key is known for supernatural happenings. And so she moves into her house, and just strange things end up happening. Her laptop won't charge in any of the outlets. The magnets on her fridge suddenly read wrong and My Home. And those weren't the magnets that she put on the fridge. But she finds herself intrigued by all this, and also intriguing is the grumpy coffee shop owner who often slips her a free slice of banana bread with her coffee. And so this one just sounds like it's going to be really cute, and I just like that it also has a supernatural, fantastical twist to it as well. Now to talk about the last book on this list. So this is one that I put on my July list because I apparently was looking at an old release date for the book, but is actually coming out August 27th, and is Long Live Evil by Rees Brennan. And this book is about a woman who is sick in our world, and she ends up being transported to the world of her favorite fantasy book series. But the catch is that instead of being the heroine like she expected, she actually ends up being the villainess. And so this one, as I mentioned in my other video, just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and seems like it's going to have similar vibes to Assistant to the Villain. Alright, so those are 10 books coming out in August that I am looking forward to. Let me know down below if you're looking forward to any of these as well. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!